Measuring against Heiskanen. Finds Faber. Faber dances. Right circle. Now wraparound score!
Meet Brock Faber. He finished second in Rookie of the Year voting last season to Connor Bedard while playing the most minutes per game as a rookie in the history of the sport. Born in Minnesota, he was taken by LA in the second round of the 2020 draft before he went to University of Minnesota. He's a Minnesota Wild fan, and always has been, so when the Wild traded for him at the 2022 draft, he got to express it publicly. He's not Quinn Hughes or Cale Makar, but he doesn't have to be. Brock Faber is what the modern day defensive defenseman looks like, and he's a major reason why Minnesota is sitting at the top of the Western Conference. When comparing top-end defensemen, usually people look at point totals first. Obviously, it's not the best metric, and Faber's a good example of why. On pace for 40 points this season, despite being fourth in the NHL in ice time, might look like he's munching minutes just to not produce, but when you actually watch him play, you'll see him playing the last man back role at all times. His pairing is on ice for a goal against about once every 2 to 3 games played. When he's playing with Middleton, the Wild score 3 goals for every goal they allow. This is the shutdown mold that Faber has been playing. He positions himself in front of the net and doesn't let anyone get anything backdoor or cutting across the ice, limiting the high danger chances. There are times where he will seriously limit himself from following a guy. He tracks 6'5" Michael McCarron until he gets behind the net where Faber parks himself to stop a backdoor pass. Even after his defensive partner misses the open man, he still stays in position to prevent a backdoor O'Reilly tap-in. Savvy. That being said, his defensive IQ allows for him to constantly scan around the ice and search for when to leave his post. Off the faceoff, Giroux cuts behind him and onto Middleton. Faber does a quick check back before taking Cousins' stick out of the play. His defensive IQ makes him look a bit like LeBron at times, pointing out defensive checks for other players in the team. He always knows what's going on, and he wants everyone to be on the same page. This shutdown defensive role is part of why he currently ranks the 97th percentile of net defensive rating, ahead of names like Charlie McAvoy and Matthias Ekholm. He's constantly making subtle little call-outs to his teammates on who to cover and where to go. He doesn't only stick in front of the net though. His quick feet and high defensive IQ lets him basically act as a forward on this play and track Giroux out to the blue line. Having confidence and trust in your own system plays a role, but Faber being one of the best skaters in the league means this is something you can get away with. Sometimes, however, he tries to do a little bit too much, and as he notices that Hinostroza has time and space on the half wall, it means that Foligno is missing his man. As Nashville starts to develop a play, he points out the man, but Foligno already had a pick set on him, so Faber tries to step up, which leads to miscommunication and a goal against. It's important to remember this is year number 2 with Faber, and he's going to improve as he gets more time and experience in the league. The defensive defensemen with the best reputation in the league right now, like Forsling and Tanev, are 28 and 35 years old respectively. Faber is still only 22 years old. Despite being one of the youngest in the league, he's consistently winning defensive puck zone battles and is consistently turning puck battles in his own end into opportunities for the Wild at the other. He has the second best percentage in the league when he goes to get the puck in the defensive end and skate it out of the zone. And he is successful when he tries to get it out. 6 times out of 7, when Faber tries to get out of the zone, he gets it out. Smart puck control, good instinct, and world-class skating are all factors in what make him so good at getting it out of the defensive zone once he strips the opposing team of the puck. Faber's skating is so good that it's insane he isn't commonly considered one of the best skating defensemen in hockey. In the 93rd percentile of top speed when he clocked at almost 23 miles per hour, and has skated at over 20 miles per hour 48 different times this season, which puts him in the 95th percentile. He's fast, but he's not just fast, he's also excellent on his edges and can pivot like anyone. He's got so much agility, he's actually like a pit bull fetching a stick with his eyes on the puck in the defensive zone. Get him, boy! This speed and skating ability means that he loves joining the rush and being the 4th option on the play. Here he collects a puck on the back check and completely blows past Logan Slager on Chicago. He's running a line straight to the net before dropping it back to Kaprizov for the goal. Times like this make me think if he wanted to, he could act as an offensive defenseman or as a power forward in the NHL. It's interesting because when he joins the rush, he usually gets his last touch when beginning the breakout. In manually tracked data, the All 3 Zones project found that Faber is leading the Wild in tertiary assists, as in the 3rd assist on a goal. This data has questionable uses for a lot of players, but what's interesting is watching the Wild play, he always feels like he's one touch away from an assist. He breaks it out so often that it leads to a lot of Wild rush chances. That being said, in the offensive zone, he really signals how much he wants to get back defensively and does not want to get caught behind the play. He floats in and out of the zone as he assesses the odds that a Carolina player will try to counterattack. His quick feet mean that when Gaudreau needs a pass, he calls for it outside the zone, collects, shoots, and then gets back into a defensive position. He's clearly comfortable being an option to pass back, and he consistently calls for the puck when he has the chance. That being said, in the offensive zone, he isn't just a defensive defenseman. His great skating and offensive instinct means he enjoys cutting into open ice and giving Minnesota forecheckers, who happen to be some of the best in the game, another option. Having a guy like Faber who can call for a pass and cut into open space is so valuable, and it's one of the reasons why Minnesota is one of the best forechecking teams in the NHL. It keeps the possession alive. When Faber has the puck, however, he's absolutely pass first. Where other defensemen might rack up 20-goal seasons from the blue line, Faber prefers to take the puck down the wing when he has the ice, and he loves going for passes into the slot. It's his favorite thing, if I had to guess. When he isn't passing though, he's not a slap shot guy. He's actually one of the highest wrist shot shooting defensemen in the league, shooting at about 70% of the time. His shot totals overall are actually pretty low though, and that checks out because the shot kind of feels like a last resort. It's like he's looking for a pass, and if he doesn't like it, then he'll shoot. His shot isn't particularly hard either, and he doesn't necessarily get Cale Makar level release on it. There's times you wish he could absolutely rip it, and you wonder what it would do to take his game to the next level if he could get a couple more miles per hour on the shot. Another weakness that might be worth considering is that he doesn't hit players like at all. Only 15 hits on the season puts him 17th on the Wild, which is a little bit crazy. He's kind of a bigger body, so it's a bit interesting that he doesn't lay the body like a little bit. That being said, he does use his frame a lot, oftentimes completely neutralizing high danger opportunities in front. Look at him completely take Brady Tkachuk out of this play. Gaudreau, you gotta get the pass though, man. His physicality overall is kind of light though. It's weird because when you see a minute munching right-handed defenseman who's excellent defensively, I feel like you instinctually think he's a physical guy, but Faber isn't really. It's part of where the game is headed now, being tactically sound, and a dog with your stick is more valuable than being able to lay a big hit, and that's absolutely Faber. He will use his stick before he uses the body. I could see a 28-year-old version of Faber being a body checking demon in the playoffs though, and that's part of the fact that he has a larger frame, and he knows how to position himself to take people away from the puck. You wonder if he started leaning into opposing players a little bit harder, if they just start counting those as hits instead of better positioning. Complete picture of what makes Faber so special is that all of this speed, constant scanning around the ice, going in and out of offensive zones, and being so vocal out there is done while he's 8th in the NHL in ice time per game. He's leading Minnesota defensemen in power play ice time and is second to Brodin in penalty kill ice time. He can be plugged into any situation, which is what Minnesota needed last season when Brodin and Spurgeon both went out. He took over the everything role as a rookie. He's a horse who skates 3.5 miles per game in primarily defensive responsibilities. So, what kind of player is Brock Faber, and what kind of role does he play? He's a net protecting, pass first, two-way defenseman. I would say he's leaning more towards a shutdown guy, but he plays power play and has strong offensive instinct, which I think can be explored more down the line. Plays like this one against Dallas where he fakes left, then fakes a shot, and then cutting wide around Johnston before getting the wraparound makes me think he has a lot left to develop in terms of offensive ability. He could be a 70-point Norris caliber guy in the future, or he could be a 50-60 point shutdown guy that's also Norris caliber but won't get the trophy because he doesn't get enough points. If we're talking crazy hot takes, he could be the first ever player to win defensive defenseman of the league when I become commissioner and make that a trophy. He actually reminds me of a younger Drew Doughty if you remove the hitting, and I guess he has a worse shot. The dodging and weaving, the right-handed guy shut you down, play power play and penalty kill. That being said, Doughty was a special guy when he was younger, and by the time he was Faber's age, he already had an Olympic gold medal and a Stanley Cup as the #1 defenseman. Another shout for player comparison might be Jared Spurgeon, except a little bit bigger and a little bit better offensive upside. Definitely a great feeling for Minnesota as Spurgeon is already 35 years old. Having Faber basically sub in and arguably be better would mean that they could have 20 plus straight years of a shutdown, speedy, right-handed defenseman to captain the team, because yeah, Faber is definitely going to be captain of the Wild one day.
Enjoying the view, enjoying the sun.
Which means that born in Minnesota, went to university in Minnesota, he's going to be the first player in Wild history to bring a Stanley Cup to Minnesota. I'm calling it now. This team is special, and Brock Faber is going to be the #1 guy for this core. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe so we can produce more content like this. If you want to see more scouting videos, we made one on Celebrini, Bedard, and McKenna. Comment down below who you'd like to see next for a scouting video around the league. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you.